afternoon. Hello there. Welcome to another Kerfuffle Spotlight here, and I am delighted to have on today Alex Evans for Estate Apps. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Simon. Hello, all. I'm good, thank you. How are you doing? You right?
Are you going to not greet us? Is it? I can never remember. Is it Spanish or Portuguese over there?
It's Spanish. It's Spanish. That's a terrible opening, dude. I feel like you should have done some research.
You're not, this interview is not going to go well for you if that's on the basis of what you think it is.
I know.
For anyone who's been stuck under a rock and doesn't know that Alex has had to flee the country, no, you haven't had to flee the country. That's a lie. But you did rather fantastically. Oh no, I got caught in lockdown. You're caught in South America, aren't you?
I am, yes. It wasn't planned. Just to be clear, it wasn't planned. The plan was to be here for 6 weeks. To be fair, I didn't actually have a plan in terms of time frame. I basically booked a one-way ticket. The idea was obviously I'll bring my laptop as long as I've got a Wi-Fi connection. I'm effectively at work. And then literally the day after I flew from Heathrow, COVID hit in England. And then about a month later, it hit here because here is a fair bit behind. So
because traditionally the model is they buy single tickets out of South America.
Yeah, I know. I've done it the opposite way. I agree. I appreciate that sounds a little bit strange, but it's true.
Well, I felt sorry for somebody who got locked away in Wales the other day, but anyway, you've got the good side, right? Well, Alex. First of all, let's give you the big, I can't do a trumpet, otherwise I would have done it, but it's worth saying. You have won for the third year in a row, Best in Sector at the Esters for digital marketing. I think they changed it around. It was also websites, but that's a big plaudit, isn't it, to get that level of consistency? Just talk us through why you felt you got that.
Well, it's obviously
it's not for being the best.
I wasn't actually going to say that. I should have started with that, but no, I wasn't going to say that. No, mainly because, well, obviously it's from client feedback, which is why, to be honest, that was the main reason I was attracted to taking part in the awards in the first place. It's based on clients, not a judging panel, and to be honest, it means more to me than pretty much anything, most of the other things we do. I mean, I champion social proof a lot, and obviously this is slightly is the same thing, but it's awards, so it's a little bit different, but in that respect. But honestly, really proud. It's not just me though. Obviously, there's a whole team behind me that kind of just that do all the hard work. Obviously,
that's really a megalomaniac owners should take it all.
No, I can't. Honestly, I can't do that. I think my brother Adam's watching, so he would kill me as well. So
okay, fair enough. Well, you got a big welcome there from the Viking himself, Mr. Esters. Hello, my lovelies. This is the men's grooming channel. Brilliant.
He's basically joined to throw abuse. Nice.
Yeah. More of that quality later. But anyway, we're going to go straight in. Is that you haven't got a mojito there?
Dude, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. No, I haven't. Sorry, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's an orange juice.
Okay, good. I was getting jealousy pangs. Okay, websites. The topic today is websites. Estate agents virtual shop window, not Vindo. Let's start off. Can we start off with just the most obvious question of all? What is the importance these days of a website?
Why? Yes. It's quite strange because I get asked this question quite a lot. So basically, for me, it's what the user sees. I mean, at the end of the day, you need the typical user journey for me. Yes, a lot of agents seem to think that their traffic starts at Rightmove. Actually, nowadays, that's becoming it's a lot less than you might think. But nonetheless, even if they found you on Rightmove, they're not going to make an instant decision there and then, are they? They're going to obviously do a bit of research, probably Google you, probably check out your reviews, no doubt. Probably check out your social proof, your social channels. They might have even found you on Facebook, as an example. But whatever happens, 9 times out of 10, they're going to end up at your website. Therefore, you kind of want to make it look as good as you possibly can. I'm not saying spend millions on it, no. But presentable, you've got to make sure that it looks good certainly compared to the ones that are in your local area, because they're the other ones they're going to be looking at, obviously.
So where does it tip over in terms of going from a sensible, reasonable amount to spend and just becoming, taking the Mickey territory?
I mean, no. Do you know what? That's not a correct. I mean, it depends on budget, doesn't it? I mean, that's not really. That's completely up to the client and what they're prepared to spend. But I think the point is really, for me, I treat the website as like a hub. Essentially, it guides all the traffic into it, and that basically is that's how important it is. Really, it's effectively your shop front. But don't forget as well, a lot of the agencies, certainly a lot of the agencies I talk to nowadays, as I'm sure you obviously know, they're actually not. They're actually removing themselves from the high street. They haven't even got a high street presence, so therefore it's actually even more important, because that is literally their digital shop front. So again, it's that's how important it is, basically.
And it was obviously that was rammed home ever more than normal, obviously, with things like lockdown. If you didn't like your website going into lockdown, you weren't going to be very happy sat there when that was pretty much your only, customer facing entity, wasn't it? So
that is indeed true. Yeah, actually, interesting stat on the. So we were looking at we obviously look at stats quite regularly internally, but so what was it? April, May, across the board, our platform, 50% less traffic across the board. 50%. That is a massive drop. However, June, every single site, record numbers of traffic.
Literally record overall. So
So they've never had almost all of our clients, as far as I know, almost all of our clients never had as much traffic as they've had in June.
And have you ever seen? You mentioned that was it unprecedented? You'd never seen a drop?
Oh no, I've never seen that before. No. Well, I mean, that was.
What would the biggest drop have been before then, in terms of percentage terms?
Oh, I mean, I don't recall any time certainly in the last 3 years. I don't recall anything as big as what we saw this last 3-4 months. Honestly, I don't. If I was completely honest, I was kind of expecting. I'm not known as an optimist, but I was kind of expecting it, because obviously everyone's been pent up, haven't they? Everyone's been. They're not able to do anything, and obviously the last thing you want to do is I know it's called property porn, but at the same time you don't want to keep looking at something that you can't get or have at that moment, or even be involved in it. So what's the point? So I suppose they've just kind of backed off because of that, and then but June just went nuts. Honestly, honestly, I wasn't expecting. I was expecting a little bit, not nowhere near the level that I thought. And actually, sorry.
Has it continued? No, it
has. No, it has. No, obviously July's not finished yet, but yeah, no, it has. No, of course it has. Actually, I was going to say though, going back to the original question of why. Again, if you're talking, if your website's getting 30,000, 40,000 unique visitors per month, I mean that's a big why. That's a lot of eyeballs on your brand. You can't discount that, so yeah, I've never been known to champion the portals. I've always not been a massive fan, mainly because they don't really help the agent in terms of there's no link backs, there's no SEO benefit, there's literally nothing. I don't see they do much overall. But this again, going back to the whys, is it's all about your brand and making sure that brand looks good.
And how do you? What are the simplest tips you have for reinforcing their brand online? What's the process you go through it with an agent?
Well, funnily enough, I was asked to review an agent's website last week, a London-based agency, and the first thing I did was Google them. I already knew their web address. I had a link. The first thing I did though was Google them. I saw 3 things kicked out at me immediately. The first was, obviously you see the Google results, yeah? The first was they had 550 odd, I can't remember the exact number, I think it was about 551 Trustpilot reviews. I thought, wow, that is impressive.
Yeah.
On the same page, I saw they had 3 Google reviews, a whopping score of 2.1. They then had, again, on another link, which is right at the top, all agents, 39 odd reviews. Don't be quoting on the numbers, but again, like 2.4, 2.5 score. So that straight away told me that was a brand that wasn't clearly not focusing on what other people were looking at. They had obviously, someone had made a decision, right, we're going to be paying for Trustpilot. So I know, let's push everyone there and hope for the best. The problem was, and what no one obviously told them, was no one's going to go to Trustpilot to search for their next agent.
No,
I mean, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So that was a bit of an issue. Website overall was all right, but that straight away the social proof bit really had an impact on me straight away, you know.
And you're a seasoned pro in this field, but so what would you say that actually more and more vendors, potential vendors in particular, are getting wise to that as well? So this isn't just that you would see that. If you were looking at that site, looking at that agent, so that really jumps out at you, that it feels like it's being gamed.
Yeah. Oh, not necessarily game. I mean, you can tell. I mean, if you just look at, most people read reviews. They don't read all of them, obviously. Even I think the average is about. Generally, people read 6 or 7 reviews before they, make a decision. I actually, I tend to actually look at the negative reviews more than I do the positive ones. For example, when I go when I'm going abroad, for example, I'll look at various sites, but I'll look at the negative reviews mainly because I want to see if they're consistent. If they're all saying the same thing, then that generally means there's actually a problem. And it's obviously, especially even worse if there's no feedback to it. There's always warning signs. But yeah, for sure, social proof for me is massive. I mean, it's how I generate business, let alone keep business going. And yeah, I think every business, no matter what, no agency or not, it should be standard. It should be the first thing you think about.
Are there any key metrics on this that can you ever be so precise to say you should be expecting, 20% from social proof, from referrals like that, or 50%, or is every agency still a fairly unique case?
No, it's going to be varied across the board, isn't it? Actually, I tend to find. Certainly with letting agents, particularly, they've actually got a bigger struggle than most, mainly because tenants. And this is the problem. The problem for letting agents is not actually their problem. They tend to get blamed for anything and everything. When, like, for example, the landlord, for example, the property state, there's an issue in the property. The letting agent's going to get the blame for it, even though it's not actually their issue. The main reason being that they're the only one with the platform to actually put the review on.
Yeah.
So straight away they're on a negative, and that's always going to be a problem. But the best way to tackle that problem really is to actually ask. Sorry.
How can you address that? As you said, it's almost weighted in terms of.
I mean, you can't. The thing I always say is, look, you've always got to look at the positives. Obviously, reply to all the negative feedback, of course, because if you leave it, then that's obviously an issue. But more importantly, you've got to go out there and get other reviews. I mean, again, obviously, if you get 2 negative reviews, well, try and get 5 good ones, because straight away it's always a balancing act, isn't it? You've got to keep pushing. A lot of agents I tend to speak to don't even ask for reviews. Standard, they don't even ask. And I don't know why that is. I think to be honest, I think it's probably a confidence issue more than anything else. I mean, if I was honest, I was obviously worried back when I started doing this. I was admittedly quite worried about asking for reviews myself. But after a while, you just get used to it, and it becomes second nature. And I just do it all the time now.
It's a British issue, that, though, isn't it? We don't.
I think you're right.
We just don't like asking for it. I think anyone who you'll see that, and actually. What's really weird is actually you quite often get thanked when you ask somebody for a review, as in, "Oh no, I'd be delighted to do that." They're pleased to have been asked a lot of the time, and it's not hard, is it? If somebody's gone out of their way to say it, that is an open goal, isn't it? Just to say, "Look, that's absolutely fantastic. This is honestly where we get most of our business. Would you mind just spending a moment there?" Well, look, he's jumped in ahead of the curve. He's always ahead of the curve, is Mr. Byfield, but we're talking about reviews at the moment anyway. He says, on a serious note, loving Estate App's review curating tool, and particularly like the website they recently did for an agent in Peckham. So I'll ignore all the obvious sort of Del Boy jokes and shit like that, but sorry, can't remember the agent's name. So obviously the brand thing there worked really well for me. But anyway, forgetting that, talk us through your new creation, because I think you've hit on a bit of a bit of a sweet spot here in terms of what you're doing?
Well, for me, sorry, we're talking about the review form, yeah?
Yeah.
For me, to be fair, we've been using it for 6 months. There was a few ideas behind it, but actually, it was actually one of our clients, a guy you probably know, Paul Long, that actually came to us with the basis for it. Quite simply, you get 5 stars on a page. You select 1, 2, or 3 star. You're presented with a form. That form obviously allows you to put your name, your phone, your email, and whatever the feedback is. Obviously, it's going to be negative. That goes to your inbox, your email, not anywhere else. Now, quite simply, that number one, most importantly, that gives you a chance to actually pick up the phone and sort that issue out. Hopefully turn that negative into a positive. Bearing in mind what I said earlier, it may well be a tenant, therefore having a problem with the landlord. And obviously, again, you can nip that in the bud before it goes public. The user, from the user's perspective, they're not really going to be thinking about, at the end of the day, you've just presented them with a link, similar to what you just said earlier. They're just going to follow the process, aren't they? They're not going to think about where it's going. No. If, however, you select 4 or 5, you're taken to a different screen. That screen quite simply asks you what platform you're going to go to. So obviously you can have any platform you want. On our version, for example, we have Google, Facebook, which are the top 2 for any business, really. We also have Kerfuffle, obviously. We have Esther's.
Sorry, you just put us below Facebook and Google. That's outrageous.
Oh, sorry. Are you putting yourself above them?
that doesn't fit in with our marketing at all.
Okay, fine. I'm so sorry. I thought we weren't allowed to talk about Kerfuffle. That's what it says on the profile.
It does. It's like Fight Club. You don't mention us.
Yeah. That's, again, great brand awareness. But yeah, anyway, so basically, and then so obviously you've then got the a selection of logos to pick from. You click on one, it loads up in a new browser window, and allows you, it goes straight to the screen wherever you need to place the review. So for example, if you select Google, it goes straight to the write a review screen. And basically the user just writes a review. The important thing for me, and again, me being a small business myself, since using, so basically what I used to do, sorry, just to go back a bit, what I used to do is send out an email with, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 links on it, individual links. The problem was, I'll get one review, one person doing one review on one of those platforms. The problem I always had was I needed people to do multiple platforms, because obviously the whole point of social proof is you need to look good everywhere. You know, there's no point good looking, as I said in the example earlier, there's no point looking good on Trustpilot when other people are looking on Google, for example, or Kerfuffle. But yeah, so anyway, but what I've noticed in my own journey with this particular application, so I've been using it for 6, 7 months now. I would say 65-70% of the people that do that form actually now give me multiple reviews. Not across all of them, but 2, 3 of them at least, and that is a massive shift.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? I mean, to have that echoing across the major ones there, and I'm very quick with my praise on this, but the ease of use of it is the absolute key to it. The way you've just made it a no-brainer in terms of doing it, and I think it's it's really, really good in terms of just. I mean, you've really come up with a compelling price point as well. Can you talk about the price points here?
It's a free trial, 90 days, and it's £15 a month, excluding that.
For something important as curating your reviews, that's pretty.
To be honest, it was for us. It was a no-brainer. We wanted to do it at a price point that actually everyone could do, simply because it is, as you correctly said, it's so important, and a lot of people just forget about it and don't think about it and spend their money elsewhere, which I'm not saying don't spend your money elsewhere, obviously, but this is such an important thing and it can actually help. So that's kind of why we just wanted to make it as fair and as get it out there, because the more people that use it, the better.
Great, okay.
For them, really.
So that's great, and I encourage anybody to get in touch with Alex and have a look at that. It is really impressive. So for agents looking to develop or change their websites at the moment, what advice would you give to them? What should they do to get started?
To get started, I mean, I typically go for a little bit of a checklist, but actually, certainly one of them is, what does your competitor sites look like? What are the local competition doing? And I don't just mean looking at the website. I also mean looking at what they're doing on Facebook. Look at what they're doing on Twitter. Look at their Google profile. See what they've done there. The general reason being that you might pick up on something that actually they've not even noticed. Do you know what I mean? Or you might pick up on some tips, some ideas. Oh, I like that, but I could do it better. Type stuff. Yeah. And that to me, that's always a good start. Obviously, I'm not saying copy. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, you come up with a shopping list essentially of what bits you like and everything else.
Yeah. And actually, again, going back to the negative thing, actually, what bits you don't like. What bits you really, really don't want to do, because actually that's not what you want to represent. So, for example, a lot of agencies, for me, this is a difficult one when I'm talking to an estate agent, but property. I know your job is property. I know that is the point, but that's not really why the user's gone to your site. They kind of know that what they want is for you to tell them why you should use them, or the other way around. But in addition, more importantly, stuff like focusing on team. Focusing on who they're going to be talking to, trying to make the business more personable. Talking about community. There's two things I'm massive on websites, estate agency websites. Community is the first one. So blogs about community-based events or charity stuff and stuff like that. Local businesses, and the other one is team. Because at the end of the day, making the business more personable is just what it's all about, really. Because again, people sell property, as has been told many times.
Our Australian brethren, and indeed the Americans do, don't they? Seem to have always just been ahead of the curve of us in terms of focusing on the individual.
Exactly.
Just the brand.
Exactly. Actually, just on the point of this property, you might notice, I'm not asking you to do this, but if you look through almost all of our sites, you'll see that actually a property search on the homepage is actually quite a rarity for us. I know that sounds strange, but it's actually not. It's not something I recommend to anyone. And it's mainly because when the person arrives at your homepage, the last thing they want to be doing is tweaking what prices they want, the type of the property. They don't want to do any of that nonsense. All they want to do is click a button to go there to see what you've got, because they're going to make a decision very, very quickly about whether or not they want to use you.
So that's all about preventing that bounce rate, is it? Then
Well, it's not just that. It's also just making sure that the user can get to where they want to go quick without the unnecessary faff of trying to just pick a price, and it's not necessary. They can do all of that on when they're actually looking at the property results. Yeah. Oh, I want to filter this now. Actually, they have got some decent stock. I'll do it there, but they're not going to do it on the homepage because they're not seeing anything yet.
So what do you see as the most popular sites, pages on an agent's website? I mean, you mentioned obviously those ones there.
Well, to be fair, the blog thing. I still got questions about why do I need to blog. I know Jerry was on here earlier, but I mean, I don't know. Blogging for me is important simply because it gives you fresh content.
He said, "Hola, Alex."
There you go. Yeah.
Showing off what an international traveller he is there.
Yeah. It's actually Ola. He's actually spelt it wrong. So I can't. I mean, I don't know what to say. Anyway,
it's good that you're not focusing on it and that you can let go.
Sorry, I'm OCD about these things. I'm sorry, I'm OCD about these things. But no, blogging is massively important because it gives you a voice. Number one. Yeah. It also gives you, and again, a lot of people forget about this, but it actually gives you content to post out on social media. Yeah. Well, a lot of people, including myself, many moons ago, I used to struggle about thinking, what can I post? Because obviously you don't want to stop. You don't want to keep posting your properties, obviously. Yeah. But blogs actually give you the excuse. They actually give you the content to do. You just need to have the blogs in place. Obviously, there's the obvious SEO benefit, as long as you're not duplicating content.
Let me ask you on that. I mean, obviously, that is. I mean, first of all, there's a number of things there. The blog bits, the community bits, reviews, obviously fantastic to SEO. Let me just ask you the question: if you're doing all of those basics right, should you need to get involved with things like AdWords and paid advertising, or should you have a blended model, whatever you're looking at?
To be fair, I think a blended model is a nice idea. Again, it does come down to budget. If I was honest, I don't normally recommend AdWords unless there's a specific reason for it.
Yeah.
I don't normally recommend it. Why? Because you're just getting into a bidding war that you're never going to win.
Is it just too expensive these days?
Yeah, for me, it's. I mean, I don't know what other people's budgets are like, but for me, it's just unreasonable. It obviously many moons ago when AdWords was new. It was fine. It would jump on, but nowadays it's just not. Everyone's doing it, and it's not. I just don't see the point of it. I just don't. And the one benefit it does have is if you've just launched a fresh, brand new website. Obviously, Google hasn't indexed it yet. So therefore, you've got no ranking. Well, yeah, get AdWords to just to bring yourself up a little bit as a temporary means. But yeah, as a long-term strategy, I just don't see the point. But again, like anything, it depends on the keywords. It just depends on what you're targeting. Because it could well work out, but it's not going to work out on things like property or estate agent in. Do you know what I mean? It's that's silly.
I find it really interesting, and I was just trying because I like to argue with you. My job, but it's a really.
Sorry, is that your job? I didn't realise that. No one told me this.
I was sent here from the heavens to be contentious. What it is really interesting though and it seems totally counter logical that to not have property front and foremost on your page. That is, I mean, where I was not found myself nodding alongside with you is that biggest no, and thank God we're past it, which is when it first started on Twitter and people had the ability to start pumping stuff out there. It literally just was spamming listings, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It was the quickest way to get people to unfollow.
Of course,
in time there. So you do need to be more creative there. Does that mean though, are we doing that though, not giving them that search facility or front of face because we're accepting that the portals have won the argument and that's where people will go? Or is that not the...
No. Hang on, just to be clear, all I'm talking about here is not having a search. Like I am, and to be fair, we do this a lot. Calls to action buttons, properties to buy, properties to rent. Nice, done. Click a button, go to the results, done. The search form is clearly visible on the results page.
Taking all taking the fiddling.
Just taking that away because the user doesn't care about any of that. At the end of the day, they're going to do the worst thing you can do. And again, this is another. I don't even talk about this, but this is the other negative is if you do a search and then the first thing they see is no results. Yeah, that's a terrible experience.
That's a really good point, isn't it? Because they will have gone. You give them too many filters, and unsurprisingly, they specify their home, don't they? So yeah.
And to be fair, you could be an agent in I don't know, Croydon, and I'm I'm just a typical user, and I search for a property in Bromley. Well. I mean, I'm not going to find anything, am I? So yeah. Again, to be fair, that's another reason why I look at I tread carefully when it comes to location search. Allowing the user to type in what they want because there's a very very high unless you're nationwide. There's a very very high chance of you getting zero results.
Is there anything new in search these days? I mean, obviously, we used to have things like you can search on kind of broadband and broadband speeds. You can search on, obviously, closeness to things. Is there anything new and exciting happening in there, or are we pretty much all search filtered out?
Search filtered out. Clearly, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, well, certainly nothing that for me makes an impact. I mean, there was a big thing about draw a search. And stuff like that, but I'll be amazed if someone shows me a stat that actually has anyone using it, aside from the actual agent themselves. Do you know what I mean? There's like anything in the world. There's a lot of stuff around it that tries to make it add benefit, but I mean, the bog standard for me is fine. I mean, it's more than adequate. Do you know what I mean?
I love that. I think somebody needs to set it. I'm sure it's already gone, but bogstandard.com is a company waiting to happen, isn't it? Just in terms of We've got to deal with some contentious points here now. Pete Butler has handed our asses to us on a plate here because he's quite rightly said interesting thought on AdWords being expensive. ROI is the metric, and of course we've fallen into.
Well, to be fair, that's kind of what I alluded to though. It does depend on what you're doing and how you're doing it. At the end of the day, it is a budget thing. I don't recommend it. Bear in mind, most of my clients are 1 to 5 branch. Unless they can really justify it, then there's no point doing it. All I'm saying is I don't shout about it and tell everyone to do it. You know, it's always got to be treated with a bit of care.
Yeah, cool. And we've got Kirsty who just pops on. Hi, Kirsty. And she just said, your review tool, it's a genius device and gold dust for social proof. So there you go. And just to complete the love-in from Mark Newton. Hi, Mark. How are you? Good afternoon, everyone. Love my website by these guys.
I'm loving his profile pic as well. look at that. That's genius.
I mean, if anything, that should be submitted to the ASA, shouldn't it? And anyway, okay.
I'm not going to comment.
Before we move on to the next, just the next one, we've spoken about some of the positive things there in terms of looking for it, and you did touch on the element. What is the biggest no-no when you're looking to develop your site?
To be fair, there's a few.
You can do the politicians thing if you want, and then answer the question you wanted.
I would no. I would generally be careful about sitemap. So basically, I spend a lot of time going through a sitemap with a client, basically just to make sure everyone's on the same page about what the point is of each of the pages, and basically to remove any content that just doesn't need to be there. So, for example, I still come across agents nowadays that have pages like EPC. Well, like EPC is a standard thing. I mean, it doesn't need to have its own page. It should be part and parcel of whatever you're doing.
That's exciting, isn't
it? I mean, yeah, but again, it's just keeping things clean, keeping things simple. I try and avoid anything complex in terms of navigation, because the user's just going to get switched off.
Yeah.
Also, a big thing for me is actually what your target audience is. So obviously, a lot of agents have different opinions on this. Agents sometimes just want to focus on property, as we said earlier. Other agencies actually do want to focus on their team, which is quite rare, admittedly, but it does happen. And again, I'm all for such things. But it's all about having a focus and sticking to it. So the way the page structures and the way the page flows would all come as part of that.
Cool. Got another fan here from Jez Lee of Agent OS. We use Alex's tool extensively. Yeah, a great tool. So ignoring any fanars there. And keeping
no, I'm not going to comment.
I know what he's trying to do there, and I'm not going to be.
I mean, I think we could both see through that one.
Obvious, yes. You're going to have to work much harder. Maybe when Mince is on the show, you'll get away with that. Well, at least that's why they've got so many great reviews on Kerfuffle. So there we are. I've managed to show.
Actually, the interesting thing about the Kerfuffle thing, and I was telling my brother about this the other day. We joined Kerfuffle for the review side of it. What, I don't know. You tell me, about 3 months ago, maybe. And I've not asked a single person really to do a Kerfuffle review. Yeah. I've got 16 odd reviews on there or whatever it is, but that's all happened naturally. I've not done anything about that. That's just happened.
I mean, that is a really impressive, to have that there as a resource for yourself, isn't it? And I've always made the point that actually we only have named people on there, so you get that almost TripAdvisor bounce, so that you can see peers. Obviously, we're in quite a small industry here, aren't we?
Of course,
good news travels fast, bad news even faster. So. Oh my God! That actually means I've delivered on my promises for once. That's incredible.
I mean, that wasn't an advert for you, but go.
No, not really trying to do, but I turned it around. Right, okay, let's move on. So how are you? Obviously, there's other players in this space, and we spoke about on the website panel. We were talking about how I think we're all agreed that look, there are other great website companies out there, but if they haven't had experience from agents, you really want to be careful about it, because they're going to have to reinvent the wheel for every element of what they do. So let's just park that. Why are you different to the other website developers that are out there at the moment?
I mean, the obvious one is we do niche in the property industry. We've been doing that for 15 odd years. One of the things for me really is networking. I mean, I as you well know, I'll attend any event I can possibly get into. I'm quite renowned for such things.
We'll never put you on that.
But I do. But to be fair, I do it on purpose, because number one, it's brand. It's the brand awareness thing. But more importantly for me, it's talking to companies. So I mean, I would never know the guys at Agent OS. I mean, that's a perfect example. I love those guys. I didn't even. To be honest, with the especially being a small third party, it's actually exceedingly difficult to get to a CRM to any sort of level of a CRM in terms of discussion about, oh, what can we do with you guys? Is there any sort of integration or anything? It's actually really, really difficult. Agent OS came along. I think it was Fixflow that actually introduced me to them. And ever since, this is a few years ago now, and ever since then, it's just grown to evolve to be something much bigger than what it was, or even initially started to be. Dataloft, just recently come across Dataloft. Well, again, fantastic company, but never really had any inkling because obviously I'd never had any interaction with them before. But all of this comes down to networking and talking to people, finding out what's going on, and trying to actually see, oh, there's a connection there. There's something we can do, you know.
So you're the classic case of what I talk about a lot, where there's many suppliers in this industry, but actually there's very few partners. I'm actually getting to the point now where I'm starting to think that somehow this has been set up, because the adulation keeps coming in here. We've got Mark Bevan, absolutely love your energy and enthusiasm, Alex. Credit to you and the company on the awards you win. So they are a nice one there. No, there aren't, Whaley. Estate apps are the best. I don't know what BS means, but I never swear on this show. Opening of a public tour. I do hope that's what I think it is.
No, Mark, that is not what I'm going to be doing.
You do know it.
Although, to be fair, it has been said before.
It's illegal to nurture reviews in any fashion, so I don't want to go there. Here we are, Kirsty again. Hello there, Kirsty. Estate apps are different because they are relentless in pursuit of innovation that benefits the sector. That's a really late, fantastic, that one. Yeah. Okay. And thank you very much. You're welcome, Dataloft. There you are. So #data. So Brill. Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, so we've spoken about that in terms of you being connected. You know the conversation.
So networking is a thing. Yes, I do it a lot. I also actually get involved, and some people, even my brother, sometimes ask me, "Why are you doing this?" Like, I go to training events. So Stephen Brown, Troy Malcolm. Furthermore, a couple of years ago, as you well know, went to ARIC. Went to Australia to go to the real estate conference. I've literally got no business being there because I'm not an agent. I've got no, I'm not going to make any business out there. It's obviously a completely different market and so on. But honestly, me and Adam both went, and we came back with pages of notes. I mean, pages, not just about property, but how business processes. I mean, Ryan, Leader Fox, is massive on processes. It's a huge thing, and I just didn't. Honestly, it was absolutely amazing. If you're an agent out there and you've not been, trust me, go.
Yeah, don't worry. Kerfuffle will be organising when we're allowed to go again. The Kerfuffle package tour to ARIC is definitely going to happen one day. To see if we can keep up.
Just mentioning on what Kirsty said there. Yeah, we are trying to keep evolving, but actually, and I'll never forget this, is the fact that actually we're really lucky in the fact that we work with some stupidly proactive agents. So Sean Adams, Cooper Adams, we've got Leader Fox, Ryan, Normie, Mince, and the guys. They're constantly thinking about new stuff, where they're going, what they want to do next, and so on. And it's that helps us look better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes a mockery of, people keep talking about, we're waiting for this disruptive wave to hit and agents don't do anything, because you see those companies and they're small and they're agile, so they can change like that, can't they? Yeah. Totally in tune. So you've got people like, Mincy, who's focusing on postcodes. I think he's got M23, hasn't he? Being again, nailing that part that you were talking about it before. I love what the likes of Luke Sinclair do, when a new restaurant opens. And it doesn't have to be just an opening, does it? Just giving them a bit of airtime and again, showing them that it's fantastic.
Well, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. Actually, one of our features that annoyingly we've not got out enough, but that's only because I think mainly because of the time it takes for content. We built an area guide last year, which is not just a normal area guide. It basically allows you to put all the areas in, fine. Obviously text, video, and so on. But then you can add your own categories. So, for example, those categories could be schools, universities, hairdressers, bars, restaurants, nightclubs, anything you want. But then within that, you can then add the businesses. And what some of our agents have done, like, for example, Lex Allen, up north, what they've done is actually have their own loyalty card. And effectively,
I love that.
Yeah, it's honestly, from again going back to the point about community. Honestly, awesome, absolutely awesome. But
I'll be talking about this. So what do? They have a loyalty card for collection of businesses, or just for a specific business?
No. So basically, they would recommend. Effectively, it's their way of recommending a business. So, for example, if they go and use the coffee shop regularly and so on, it's their way of basically helping the community, businesses in the local community, actually also get involved in what they're doing. Because obviously, obviously some of these companies, agencies are in a very unique position in the fact that they talk to a lot of different people. I mean, they cover an area. Not many businesses actually have that sort of opportunity. Sort of almost combining that with trying to get involved in those other businesses. I mean, you don't know where those conversations are going to go, but the simple fact that you're helping them out, guys, if you don't mind, would you give me a discount? I can actually offer it to all our clients. Do you see what I mean? It's such a valuable tool.
And as suspected, I knew there was something up here. Kirsty, sadly, I'm checking the post. You'll be waiting a long time from Bogota.
Well, yeah, because I'm not there. But yeah,
never let facts get in the way of a story. People are saying he's an avid listener. That's fantastic. We love that. Nothing wrong with a better understanding your target market.
Yeah.
And hang on a minute, and I shouldn't do it again, but tools like Alex's don't come as a result of luck. He puts a huge really hands-on approach.
I feel like Jez has spent many an hour already preparing for these.
Into himself like the child that he is, and I do love that. Okay, well, let's get down to brass tacks. In terms of pricing, talk us where you sit in the marketplace. Are there templated versions available? To what degree are they customizable? Could you just give us a bit of detail around that?
Yes. Well, first thing first, our platform is custom built. So Adam is actually the brainchild of it. So basically the entire platform. So we don't use open source, we don't use a WordPress and so on. In terms of price point, well, yes, we've got 3 different packages. The third of which I've actually never sold, but again, I'll come to that in a minute. The first one is template.
Yeah.
Template is obviously you change your logo, you change your colors, the brand colors, you change the content and the feed, and generally that's it. However, because it's on our own platform, there is obviously we can do whatever we want with it, so it's entirely scalable. That's the first thing. The second thing, second package is what we call the hybrid. So basically, you get a custom design. So basically, you have a design consultation. Oh, you've disappeared.
Hello.
You disappeared there. Hello.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you are back. Yeah. I thought I was going to be left on my own there. My God, I was suddenly very worried. So the second is a hybrid, which basically means you get a design consultation for an hour and a half. We basically work out exactly what you want, what your ethos is, what you're looking for, what the focus is, and so on. We then go away a couple of weeks, actually design something custom specifically for you. We don't resell that design on; it is yours. You're the only one that's going to have it. That starts. So in terms of pricing, the third one is basically completely bespoke. This is the reason I've never sold it. Simply put, I've never met an agent that needs to bespoke design every single page in a site. I mean, we've already built half the pages, most of the pages. You don't need to we don't need to charge you extra just to do them again. Do you know what I mean?
So what you're getting out there is you haven't oversold somebody a solution that frankly they don't need.
Exactly. Yeah. You're
missing a trick. Let's see if we can find. If there's anyone out there.
I mean, I've kind of shot myself in the foot already, but it's fine. But no. So anyway, so the template package in terms of setup is actually free. No money. That includes everything included. So basically what we do, just to explain how it works, the reason it's free is because basically we give ourselves 12 hours in terms of time. Everything we do is on time. We give ourselves 12 hours to set up your site. Generally, that's enough. Obviously, factored this in. If there is any overspill, then obviously we work out a thing on it. But yeah, so that's the free template. The custom design starts from £995. It typically retails around 2.5 to 5K. The reason in difference in price is simple, because obviously once you start delving into the design, suddenly that leads into, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and suddenly that page, the sitemap, becomes a lot bigger than what it was originally started out being. So therefore that explains the difference in price. Custom build, I mean, is whatever you want. but yeah, in terms of feed stuff, obviously property feed, we don't charge anything for that really, because we've already built it. Again, we're not going to charge you for something we've already done. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, throughout everything we try and do there's a level of fair. We always try and be as fair as we possibly can. We don't want, as you correctly said, we don't want to charge people for something that we've already done. I mean, that, to me, I couldn't even justify that. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to be in a position to have to justify it when, I just don't need to offer it. Do you know what I mean?
We'll talk offline about a bit of consultancy, and I'll get you charging those.
Okay, fine. But anyway, so basically, overall, as far as I'm concerned, really cost-effective overall package. In terms of monthlies, and let's be honest, this is how I actually pay people. The subscriptions. So we got 3 tiers. The lowest is £69. The mid tier is £99. The top tier is £129. The difference in the 3 of them is, going back to the original point I made, we haven't built WordPress. So basically, the agent doesn't have the flexibility of adding extra pages whenever they want, or chucking in an extra plugin whenever they want. We do have a CMS which allows them to edit a certain number of pages, like blogs and whatever else. The stuff that generally they would want to update on a regular basis. Yeah. Anything they don't want to update or on a regular basis, or indeed they want to change. So, for example, the homepage is one of those pages. They just send us the updates. Within each of the tiers, we give an agent a certain amount of time to do stuff. I was going to swear there. To do stuff for free. So basically, not for free, included in the subscription. So we normally charge £60 an hour. As an example, the lowest tier includes 2 hours of our time every month to use to do whatever you want. So, for example, we can add some text, change some imagery, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Point is, as long as we can fit it in that time, we will do it without charge. The mid tier is 4 hours. The top tier is 6 hours. I will also say, though, it just so happens the top tier is actually our most popular tier. Most of our clients are on it. The reason being, it's the most value added. And what I mean by that is it's actually not because of the 6 hours, actually. It's actually because we're developing stuff all the time. And whoever's on that top tier, basically, we build stuff, we put it on the top tier, and anyone who wants it can have it without additional cost. So, I like what Christian just said there. I'm trying, Christian. I'm trying.
Yeah. I'm assuming you put that bottom tier pricing at 69 just for Jesley.
Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't come up. But yeah. But generally, that's the point of the platform. Really, is to basically be what I think the main ethos of our company is basically to try and make access to good tech and good features and so on actually fair and affordable. I think that's where we sit really.
Those price points as well. And what's nice about that is you're benefiting from all the great companies putting in input as well there. So it's obviously help everybody by throwing in.
And just we normally release like 3 to 5 new features every year. Last year we actually released 6. The 6th one actually was the review form. It was so good that I actually got it out just before we broke up for Christmas, because I just couldn't wait to get it out and get it released. So again, the agents that have it didn't pay anything for it. And I think that's
So we've got a great price point there. Talk to us about you've mentioned some of those. Talk to us about some of the success stories. Those agents that have used you. What would they be saying about using you?
I mean, I don't really want to speak on their behalf, but to be fair, just look at our social proof. I mean, reviews, we've got loads. Google, we're up to 120 odd. Kerfuffle 16. But generally, just have a look through those. I mean, I'm not going to speak on clients' behalf, but in terms of stats, generally overall, when we take over a site, we obviously compare what it was doing before. Obviously, if it existed, generally what it was doing before, and then after what we took it over. Almost every single time, traffic increases. We've got clients that have been with us for 2-3 years. Their traffic has consistently improved year on year, month on month. So you know that's good enough for me. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy with that. That's obviously in terms of SEO. Obviously, we haven't touched on SEO really, but that's one of the other things we keep tweaking our platform to make sure it's on point with. A lot of companies don't do that. I'm talking about generally. So we're constantly improving.
Sorry, what you mean here is they worry about the glitzy look and feel of a website without looking at fundamentals.
So we're regularly running tech analysis on across our platform just to try and work out if there's something that can actually be improved, and if it can, then again, we're just going to do it. We're not going to talk to anyone about it. We're just going to do it. And that's just a constant process. I mean, we're just constantly doing it, constantly trying to find those little tweaks. We're never going to be perfect. And I accept that. I'd hate it, but I accept it. But it's just one of those things, you know.
Well, you won't talk about it, but Alexander Carroll from Magini James says estate apps have been one of the best providers we've worked with. The team are only too happy to help, and they have consistently gone out of their way to ensure they deliver a service head and shoulders above the competition. Ironically, talking about head and shoulders when clearly you don't use it.
Oh my God, that is such a terrible joke. Oh my God. It's only been 25 years since I had hair, dude. I mean, I don't know how old you want to be.
I didn't put that in there just because of that. But she goes on to say, we have loved our relationship with them and will highly recommend always as well. Also, we got we've got reviews, video reviews on Kerfuffle, which we're very proud of. Ryan Wolfman, you mentioned earlier from Leader Fox, over the moon with the service. Alex and the team are excellent, and the service is second to none. Our new site looks fantastic. Built them a few bespoke tools to really enhance the value we offer to clients. And then he says something weirdly here at the end, mention voice notes, LOL. So I don't know what that's about, but anyway, Will.
Yes, you do, but we're not going there. We're not going there.
The only man in history to leave voicemail on WhatsApp.
I honestly, I refuse to believe I'm the only one that does VMs.
Okay. So I mean, you've got a huge amount on. You do it, obviously, creating some of these great tools like the review. But what's your big focus at the moment now? Bearing in mind, is it a busy time? Just because the agents are seeing this traffic, I'm imagining what I said earlier, that people obviously who didn't like their website going into it have come out and said we need to get a new one. So I'm guessing you've seen about.
No, to be fair, we're honestly if I was completely honest, COVID. We were actually really worried when COVID first hit, not only because I was stuck in Colombia, but mainly because obviously we actually lost. We had a number of sales we had agreed, but then they just basically fell through because obviously they didn't. Agencies didn't want to continue. Perfectly understood. Actually, it worked out in the end that we've actually been busier than we've been for a long, long time. We got an order book that just goes on. I can't deny I'm really pleased at the way it's turned out in terms of that side of things. In terms of big focus this year, so last year we focused on content. So we talked about Area Guide, talked about Loyalty Card, talked about reviews, so a little bit of social proof chucked in there as well. This year, my big thing is marketing and communication. So those are the two topics for the new features we're building now. We've got funnily enough, we've got about eight new features in production right now, which annoyingly I can't tell you about some of them. But generally, again, this is all going back to the point of constantly improving, constantly trying to look for those areas that we can actually help. So those are our two big focuses this year. Also, not to mention the fact that we're actually the review form just on its own. We're actually we're looking at ways we can improve that as well. We're doing a dashboard for it, making it a whole lot more comprehensive. Because honestly, the feedback I get from that is insane. I mean, I was talking to an agent the other day. They started using it 3 months ago. They had 3 reviews, largely negative before they started. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now they're sitting on 39, and within their review score is 4+, where before it was a major concern of theirs. So again, it's just trying to find out where these areas are and basically not fix them, but also just try and enable some sort of positive thing to come out of it. You know?
And what are you looking at? I mean, obviously, it's great here. You've got obviously got a business. If somebody was thinking about wanting to go with you, what would they be looking at in terms of a sort of timeline for going live, I suppose?
Oh, that's pretty easy. So template 4 to 6 weeks. Generally, bear in mind any project, I always say this up front, any project is a two-way thing. I mean, yes, we can do our bit, but we do need the client to get involved as well. Feedback, content, obviously, and so on. So it is always a two-way thing. But generally, all things being well, template 4 to 6 weeks, custom we generally say 8 to 12 for custom site, custom design, sorry. So yeah, I mean, for me, that's pretty...
If they want to get in room for the last quarter, they need to be talking to you quickly then, yeah?
Yes. But no,
well, we've spoken about your great reviews there, and you've been really, really kind as well, coming back to Kerfuffle members. So anyone that comes to you referred by Kerfuffle, you've done not 1 but 2 deals. You're going to say you're going to have their first 3 months subscription free of charge. And in addition, a lovely follow-up where you'll also provide an SEO tech analysis of the website shortly after launch, free of charge, which is normally worth 150 quid. I'm going to pretend that was worth 500 quid because then it sounds even better. And I think you're worth it, Alex. I think you're worth it.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
So,
to be fair, there is actually something I forgot to put on there, but I'll just add it. There's no point doing a tech analysis after without doing the one before. So obviously there's 2 there. There's the one before and there's the one after.
So we've got
just to be
a
clear.
analysis sandwich. That's fantastic around the project.
You are terrible with words, Simon. These sort of podcasts, these sort of things should not be allowed. Honestly, they should be allowed.
I am more wise. I use words, just not in the right order.
Yeah, clearly, yes.
So, thank you very much for obviously getting up and obviously spending this time for us. It is greatly approved and indeed appreciated. I'll leave the last question by Phil. The clock's running down. When are the waxing tips? Again, I have no idea what he's talking about, Alex. But he did pay me 50 quid just before to do that. Thank you very much. Have you got any timeline of return, or is that you now? Are you?
The airport is actually annoying. Well, it's actually Colombia or South. I don't know if you've been seeing the news, but South America COVID is becoming a lot worse here now than it was before. I think Brazil's a big chunk of that problem. So at the moment the airport is shut until September. So I'm here till then. However, now the way things are, I'm thinking it's going to be extended. At the moment, to be fair, I don't know. I'm in the hands of the government.
Okay. Well, I'll stop
we'll
my Judith Chalmers routine then, and wish you were here. Thank you once again, Mark. So I've got the final word. Mark Newton, great webinar. Really, thanks for taking part, everybody. Absolutely great. And thank you, Alex. Hope to see you back here soon for that pint.
Yes. No worries, mate. Thank you.